All right. Hello and welcome everybody to the World Cup special edition. Wishing everybody a happy Diwali and welcoming our panelists Bidhu, Tejas, and Arun. All right, gentlemen, welcome to the show. And I want to kick off by talking about the Group A and the Group B matches, where the minnows or so-called minnows were playing each other to get into the big boys Group 1 and Group 2. Now, what are your picks? One game which you guys want to talk about or which really blew you off from that phase of cricket? We could start in alphabetical order if you want.
I can go first.
Yeah.
And for me, the match that defined it was the West Indies match that they played against Scotland initially. That set the ball rolling for them. The fun part was both Namibia and Scotland, which caused the first upsets. Both of them went back home as well. So it was a very weird agenda to get into a T20 World Cup, that let's upset somebody and then go back home rather quickly. So I think both the Scotland match and the Namibia match against Namibia Sri Lanka, I think those two matches, both of them actually were pretty interesting, and that set the entire week in motion. And every match became, a decider towards the end, the last day for each of the groups. It really made the entire first phase really, really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, think about Group B, right, which had West Indies, Zimbabwe, Scotland, and
Ireland. Ireland.
Ireland. Right? And till the last day, till the last set of games happened, nobody still knew who was going in. But just coming back to the initial point, disappointed that West Indies are out, or was that an expected result?
Yeah, I mean, you don't really expect West Indies to go out. I mean, you in a lot of ways they are the pioneers of the T20 game that we see today, right? Whatever they did in 2012 and maybe even in 2016, I think captured the imagination of the whole T20 arena, and then they showed how actually to win big tournaments by being super aggressive. They didn't have anyone. I mean, there was no term like anchor in those teams, and they showed that you can win multinational tournaments by approaching this, or rather taking this approach. So it was sad, but I mean, if you watch that Ireland game, then again you're not really surprised, because the way the Irish team chased the target, right? There was no half chances. There was no phase of play where West Indies were looking like they were going to go, defend 147. So if you just see that second innings or other chase of Ireland in isolation, it just maybe you would have thought West Indies are the minnows and Irish are probably the established cricket team. So yes and no, but it probably is sad to see them leave.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I watched one or two games. I especially watched the West Indies versus Zimbabwe game, and it did seem like they had a potent bowling attack, right? With Alzari Joseph, Obed McCoy, of course, Akil Hussain with a spin, and then Jason Holder, that and Odean Smith. It did seem like a good bowling attack, and they also had Kyle Mayers who could open. So I was really surprised that they actually couldn't make the cut, especially in the Ireland game, because they did seem to have the bowling resources to do it. I don't know if it was the pitch or if it was because they were feeling sad that Hetmeyer wasn't allowed to come back to the team after missing two flights, whichever way it was. But it was sad to see West Indies going out. Yeah, and just coming back to did Scotland and Namibia, right? I mean, if you guys are asked to pick some of your favorite moments or some of your top players from those two teams, who would it be?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that you touched upon Namibia, because my disappointment was Namibia. Not in terms of disappointment as in I felt bad, but I felt frustrated that they could not make it through, because I felt they had a good team. Last time they had the similar kind of team, almost the same set of players. They were playing in UAE in conditions which are slightly alien to them. But this time they had that opportunity where they had the bounce. The players are largely from South Africa. They have Morne Marker in that setup, the coaching setup, and they have David Weise, who is also a very experienced player. So I thought they can win 2 of the games. The first time the match they won against Sri Lanka was testimony to what they can do. And the next 2 games, also they had very close encounters. One match I think they had to chase them 120 odd, and they could not chase it. And the last game also they were short by just 8 to 10 runs, and David Weise was almost taking them home. But I think in both the games against Sri Lanka also, they were struggling at 90 for 6 or 90 for 7, where Frylick, these names are very difficult to remember, and Tejas Smith came in and made them reach at 160. And also the last game where they had been some 60 for 7, and then David Weise came in and had a brilliant partnership. But they could not finish it off. But I thought they had a better chance to squeeze into the main group.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was rooting for Namibia, and I remember watching the last game, Namibia versus UAE, right? Where I thought it was going to be easy for Namibia. They were chasing what, 140 odd, 140ish, after a brilliant innings by Mohammad Wasim from UAE. And there was a point when I thought there was hardly Tejas Smith had gotten out, Frylick had gotten out. It was only David Weise and probably somebody else who wasn't a renowned hitter at 69 or 70 for 6 or 70 for 7. I thought the game was lost at that point, but I was surprised to know that they came all the way up to 140. So I was that was almost like a heartbreak for me, because David Weise single-handedly almost took them home. And I think he got out when the score was 139 and the innings folded. Yeah, that was a heartbreak.
Yeah, I think Fahul Khan, he seems to be the Lockie Ferguson of UAE. The way he moved his Yorkers, I think if there's one performer from Meiyappan, Wasim, who bowled the last 2 overs in the death over, seems to be the most glammed portion of T20 cricket. And here came, what do they call, dibbly dobbly or whatever kind of player, or what Manjrekar would call bits and pieces player, bowling the 18th and 20th and nailing it absolutely brilliantly, or maybe 16th and 20th. But I think that's pretty much presence of mind. I love the way UAE battled it out in that particular match. Absolutely.
I was happy that they had. So I mean, the good thing about this edition is there was not a single team which did not go back after losing all the 3 matches, right? They at least won one match, which gave them a confidence. And I think UAE have a hat trick. Again, great bowling by Kartik Meiyappan. So for me, the 2 picks from UAE would be Wasim and Kartik Meiyappan. But do you guys have anybody else who we should be watching out for, an exciting talent from UAE?
No, I'll go with the same. I think Kartik Meiyappan taking a hat trick in a World Cup is a big thing. Doesn't matter if it is round 1, Super 12s, or even in the finals. A hat trick is a hat trick, and to do it at a big stage, it requires a lot of skill. Nothing is luck when it is in a World Cup. So yeah, Kartik Meiyappan's hat trick is probably the shining moment of the whole round 1.
Got it. Yeah, I think just going back to Namibia again. Who would be our pick for the players of that team? I know they haven't gone far, but people we need to watch out for.
I think David Weise, one and only guy. I think either he carries the team or he doesn't. I mean, the team doesn't go as simple as that. I think he's the only person who consistently delivers for Namibia.
Got it. Okay. And before we move to the winners, people to look out for are players who impressed you from Scotland. Anybody who you guys want to talk about?
I like Leask for a fact that we have a typical off spinner, classic off spinner, old style, vintage off spin bowling in T20 is just a delight to watch. He's somebody that I would love to continue to watch. I hope someday he may not be IPL material, but definitely I think some leagues will pick him. That's my sense.
Yeah. I think Munsey was also good. 2 games opening. I think he laid the foundation the first game, and I think the game they lost, which they lost, but it was a high scoring game. The other player for me from Scotland was Mark Watt. or Mark Viot. I thought he bowls in the power play, he bowls in the middle overs, he bowls in the end. Seems to have great control. And the last match which Scotland lost was also because White couldn't pick wickets. So if he had picked wickets, it seemed like they could have won that match. So yeah, two players for me from that. Okay, let's talk about Zimbabwe, right? Another exciting team, players to look out for, or players who you guys really loved watching through the first group stages.
I think maybe I speak for everyone. It's another Sikander Raza, I guess. I mean, whatever he's doing, at least, yeah, he's been in the Pakistani Air Force as well before. He has been trained there, and to come and play for Zimbabwe, where money is a big problem, and turning out performance after performance after performance, right, against big teams, small teams, peer teams, everyone. He's just consistently scoring runs, taking wickets, contributing on the field, contributing in the field as well. So there's no one more, more to look forward to than Sikander. Hopefully he'll reach even, in a higher. I mean, hopefully he'll reach even farther for whatever he has gone through in his life, and for the journey that he's had.
Yeah, for me, the revelation were the Zimbabwe fast bowlers, Ngarava and Blessing.
Muzarbani, yeah.
How that he has, the way he's able to exploit the Australian conditions, it's beautiful to watch. I think they are setting it up right as a bowling attack for Zimbabwe against whomsoever they are playing. I think it's again a left-right combination as well. So it is doing wonders for Zimbabwe, setting the platform right. And somebody like a sixth bowler, Sikander Raza, is still able to come and pick up a couple of wickets. It's because of the way these guys have starting the power play. To me, that's a great addition to Zimbabwe.
Yeah, for me also, as I say, Sikander Raza, but I think his combination with Sean Williams is something which you have to be a little bit wary of, because what happens with this kind of teams is that if they are coming into your main league with a lot of wins, the initial games that they play, they are going to play with a lot of confidence and a lot of, they don't have anything to lose. As far as the bigger teams have a lot of things at stake. So if they can form a partnership, they have formed with them, I think they can give a surprise or two in the main league as well.
Yeah, I mean, one I want to call this, and I hope this happens. RCB, please pick Sikander Raza. He can bowl, he can bat, and you need an all-rounder, right? I really want to see Sikander Raza in the IPL. He's probably peaked at the right time. Maybe this is his year. And I hope he performs really well. But I definitely want to see him getting more chances. And I know he performed really well against India as well when we went for the one days.
In terms of jersey, they have a tint of red, so you may think they will favor RCB.
Yeah, I know. Okay, now moving on to the Netherlands, right? Netherlands surprised that they made it to the top four, or you guys think they had a solid team effort? I can't remember any start player there, or maybe I've not watched enough of their matches. But any top picks for you guys for the Dutch?
For me, two players stand out. So one is Vikramjit Singh, impact player. Okay, he reminds me of Kaluwitharana. Devil may care attitude, going for the shots. It clicks, it doesn't. I don't think he's really bothered. Of course, his deep fielding is much to be wanted, but he's an explosive find for Netherlands. And of course, second is the veteran Van der Merwe. I think the spirit he showed in the end of that match, along with Odoud, was absolutely phenomenal. He couldn't hit the ball, forget running. He couldn't play a proper cricketing stroke, but he was at the crease. He stole a run as the ball went to the wicketkeeper. Unbelievable spirit. For that alone, I started aiming for Netherlands. Otherwise, I wouldn't have cared much. But I think the sheer spirit which he showed really would lift the team forward. It may not have been a half century or a century to boot, but the absolute fighter spirit he brought in, I think that's what they got in return. UAE winning the next match.
Yeah, Vikramjit Singh opens the batting, opens the bowling, right? Yeah. And Vandermeer was ex-RCB, just saying.
Yeah, the 2009 finals. Right? One of the reasons why we reached finals as well.
Also, Rolf Vandermeer has been around since 2007. Although he didn't play that World Cup, I remember he was a part of this RCB setup in the very initial IPL, and he's still around. The other player that I would like to mention is Tim Pringle, because some sources say that he is being poached by New Zealand right now. Just because Ishodi is still around, they are just waiting. And I think either one of Ishodi or Mitchell Santner, if they start to a little bit underperform, Tim Pringle will very soon be playing for New Zealand.
Like how Tim David was poached from Singapore to Australia, like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I remember there was a meme going recently which said, "What do people like this like? He looks like one of those students who's very studious with his glasses and everything." And there were 4 or 5 pictures of other great spinners who all look like that. And they said, what do kids like this become great spinners? So yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to look forward to. I'm also going to say this. It might sound politically incorrect, but whoever wins, I think at the end of the tournament, South Africa will celebrate, because I'm sure they have exported a lot more players to all the teams rather than having who is remaining, right? Like look at some of the names you're talking about. Vandermeer, South African. Weise, South African. J.J. Smith was also South African, if I'm not wrong. And of course the Conway, Stokes.
Yeah. Stokes, New Zealand.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Stokes is Kiwi. Yeah. Devin Conway. Yeah.
But they did export Peter and Kevin Peterson, who have went on to win the World Cups.
Yeah. So Kevin Peterson, who's the other one?
Craig Peaswaiter. The same time.
Craig Peaswaiter. 2010.
Yeah.
For South Africa, if you want to win the World Cup, you have to come to a different team.
Yeah. Anyways, okay. So we've covered the Dutch, Irish. Let's talk about the Irish. Picks for you guys from the Irish team.
Josh Little. Easy. I don't think. I mean, I'm surprised that he's not in any of the franchisee leagues, or rather, leagues all over the world. He's just superb bowling. Whatever he has bowled, he swings the ball, gets it in the right areas. He can nip out 2-3 wickets in the power play, every other match. So I'm really looking forward to whatever he'll do in future. I'm very excited. I mean, I'm always have a soft spot for a left arm swinging bowler. I was a huge Irfan Pathan fan when he burst out of the scene. I think everyone was a fan of his. So yeah, I see a little bit of anyone left-handed and swings the ball. I'm for him. So yeah, Josh Little.
Okay. Arun, Bidhu.
For me, it's the old guard, Paul Sterling. I think he comes to the party, he will make 200 a small target to chase. He's got raw power, a lovely attitude. I think he comes from a slightly more senior Ireland. Maybe he was part of the first crop itself. I think he's continued on. Unbelievable hitting. If he tonks over mid wicket, it stays hit. I would go for him. Absolutely.
Yeah, for me also, Paul Sterling brings that familiarity. He has been around since ages. Even if he doesn't score runs, you still feel that he is one of the players that you have to get him out at the beginning. But also Captain Andy Balbirnie, when India toured Ireland, I think he did play one or two good innings. So that I remember. And also, I think Gareth Delany can be a decent all-rounder for them. He bats slightly lower. He can hit the balls in the middle overs, squeezes the runs. So I think these three could be the players who can do well for Ireland.
Yeah, I missed out on 1%.
I don't think how Paul Sterling, how long he is there, but Andy Balbirnie will be there in future.
Yeah. Sorry to cut across. I missed Curtis Campher as well. I think I watched him play against England in one of those 3 one-days during the pandemic time, and he impressed quite a lot. So yeah, he'll also be someone who will be doing good things in future.
Yeah, I was about to talk about Campher because I mean he also is one of those all-rounder material. One player I am excited to watch is Tector. Comes 1 down, 2 down. Fairly young, but I love the the stroke play and what he can do. Again, he could be one of those impact players. I've seen him play one or two brilliant innings, but looking forward to see him play more in the T20 World Cup. Okay, last but not the least, Sri Lanka was expected to make it to the next round, but they stumbled against Namibia and somehow they recovered. Anything I mean, I know this is the same team which pretty much won the Asia Cup, and we were surprised to see them lose the first match. I know they have a few injury concerns, but how far do you think they're going to go in this World Cup?
Sri Lanka can be an interesting team. The reason is in the qualifying itself, they opened with Tikshana, clearly giving an indication that they are not afraid of throwing in a spinner in the power play, trusting the bigger boundaries. And Tikshana and Vanindu Hasaranga, both spinners, they have an IPL experience. So if they both can maneuver that bowling the way Afghanistan did when they had Rashid and Nabi as a top form, so I think they can squeeze in some teams who are not very good with spin. So the couple of matches which are coming tomorrow is against Ireland, which is Sri Lanka should win. But the crunch games against New Zealand and Australia, these spinners, how they perform will be crucial for their advancing to the semi-finals. Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I was surprised with was in their first game, they did not play Charit Asalanka, or if I'm not wrong. So I was really surprised because I thought their middle order was really strong with Bhanuka Rajapaksa, Charit Asalanka, and then they have, who's that? Pathinum Nisanka, who's their opener
for them, Nisanka,
right? And, I think, and of course you have correct. So I thought these were the three exciting players for me, along with Mendes and Dhananjay De Silva. So I was really surprised that Asalanka was not there in maybe the opening game. But I know they have some injury concerns to Madhushanka, if I'm not wrong. I don't think Madhushanka is playing in the rest of the world. Yeah. But okay, it'll be interesting to see how Sri Lanka performs in the Group 12. All right, now that we have wrapped up.
So I think Karunaratne is a force in Sri Lanka. I find him to be Hardik Pandya light. Yeah, he's got the attitude of Hardik Pandya with maybe 60% skill of Hardik Pandya. But I think he brings a lot of energy to the side. Him and Shanaka together, I think they really pull in terms of the energy quotient for Sri Lanka. And I think they are a top four in my mind. I think they are going to be the dark horse this tournament. Somehow, I think they will be able to ace the big grounds. I don't know why I think so. I think they are going to be very, very potent in Australia. That's my sense.
Yeah, funny you should mention that, Arun. Yeah, because so when I think India toured Sri Lanka last year around during the pandemic, right? Hardik Pandya gave Samika Karunaratne a signed bat because Karunaratne is a huge fan of Hardik Pandya. Huge. So he looked at the bat and he almost teared up and said, "We don't get these bats, these kind of good bats. So much thank you for that." I mean, he was lost for words. So funny you mentioned that.
Wow. Okay. That's cool. That's why you need Tejas on this panel, don't you?
No.
If Sri Lanka make it to the top four, we called it first, and we will obviously claim credit for it. Of course, Arun will claim credit, and then as a unit, we Toss the Toss will claim credit. All right, now moving on to before we go to the rest of the schedule, and I want to get your opinion on some of the potential upsets you guys want to call. But before that, I really want to talk about not the two matches today, we will get to it, but the amazing catching which has happened on day one. I don't know if which one is your pick? There are 4 brilliant catches today, but I want to listen to each one of your picks.
My co-brother actually sent me a picture as Glenn Phillips took that catch. There was this Emirates board right behind that said "Fly Better."
Yeah.
And fly better he did. Right. That was the catch for me. There's no competition for that. I just my case.
No, I was watching the highlight reel of Glenn Phillips a couple of days ago. That the kind of things that he has done on the boundary, not just with the catching, saving a boundary and all those things. And, you know, just thinking, where is Glenn Phillips throughout the innings? And then he comes up and takes a blinder. Running back and taking a catch, what Adil Rashid did is very difficult. But for the aesthetics and the jump, you know, the dive over there, you just cannot beat Glenn Phillips. I think we'll see. I don't know. Everyone has summoned the spirit of Brendan McCullum, right? Finn Allen going like McCullum in the first 6 overs. You know, Glenn Phillips flying like McCullum, like the way he did in 2015. Just, you know, there's something special about the Kiwis when it comes to ICC tournaments. So very, very happy for them.
Yeah. Okay, but there were 2 other catches. Huh? If you saw if you haven't, I would recommend you to see the highlights reel of Afghanistan versus England. The catch of Joss Butler to dismiss Mohammad Nabi, fabulous again, full length. The other catch was Mohammad Nabi again at cover, flinging himself to catch David Malan, another brilliant catch. I think the 4th one was Livingston dismissing Zadran or somebody. Again, not as epic as Glenn Phillips, but somewhat very similar. So 4 catches in the first day, 4 amazing catches, and we hope there would be more as we go forward. Sorry, I'm just checking if my internet is bad.
We can hear you, Suraj, but your image is frozen. You're looking skyward to take the next skier in the ICC World Cup.
Yeah, it's a coincidence that he was talking about catches and the throws when he was looking at the sky.
Which one was your pick?
So you had mentioned Glenn Phillips. I would have mentioned Glenn Phillips, but of very, very different reason. So I don't want to bring IPL, but I had to bring this to accentuate the story. So a couple of years back, he was playing for Rajasthan Royals, and Rajasthan Royals are out. It was almost the last but one game with nothing at stake. And in the same game, the opposition team had to get some 10 odd runs from 70 odd deliveries or some 10 overs or something like that. And at the boundary, he just dived to stop a boundary. There was no reason to dive. He was not even a part of that team 11. He was just coming in as a sub, and he dived. So it just shows the enthusiasm, and he is just like that for every match. It's not that it's happening in Australia. It's a big game. He throws his body out, but he throws his body, and he's a wicketkeeper. He's not even an outfielder. So that's why I think Glenn Phillips. I have not watched the second match, so some of the catches which he is mentioning, Suraj, about Joss Butler or Mohammad Nabi, I have not seen it. But from the first game, I would pick Glenn Phillips.
And I mean, he's a wicketkeeper and he can bowl off spin, like proper off spin.
Yes, he can bowl too.
While we wait for Suraj, let's go for the predictions now. Tomorrow, Sri Lanka, Ireland, of course.
Yeah.
So give me 1 second. I'll just give you the list of matches that we have. You want to predict for tomorrow? Or you want to predict for the entire week?
You could possibly, let's go with upsets for this week. What do you see as upsets coming up?
I would pick Sri Lanka to win tomorrow. The reason is, look, in the qualifying matches, we had teams who did not score over 200, and I think Sri Lanka can be lethal in matches where the runs are not that much. India, Pakistan, of course, there is one winner, which is India. And going down the list, I don't know which one will be an upset out of Bangladesh and Netherlands if one of them win. Any picks, Tejas? Bangladesh, Netherlands?
I wouldn't be surprised if Netherlands go through. Bangladesh are in shambles when it comes to T20 cricket. They don't have a plan. They don't have any kind of game plan to move forward. It's just horrible management over there with team selection, everything. So yeah, I'll not be surprised if Netherlands go through. And I'll not be very surprised if Sri Lanka go through against Australia. And that's a big thing, especially at Perth. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, the two things that you have mentioned, Sri Lanka defeating Australia will actually throw Australia out of the tournament almost certainly.
Yeah.
So it's a big prediction. So we are predicting upset as team lower end defeating teams higher. So Netherlands defeating Bangladesh is an upset that you are predicting, and Sri Lanka defeating Australia is the second upset that you are predicting.
Yeah.
Arun, on Wednesday and Thursday, do you predict England, Ireland, New Zealand, Afghanistan any upsets?
Afghanistan could pull a fast one on New Zealand. I know it's recent form knocking off Australia, but this is a very, very different team. And if they get the web right, if Afghanistan bowls first, I think that's critical for Afghanistan's success because they do not want to expose Rashid Khan pretty much in the power play, even if they're defending 25 runs. Right. So, with that in perspective, I think if Afghanistan bowls first, I think they will have a upper end against New Zealand.
All right. So this is surprising. We had 3 games on Thursday. Were you aware of this? I was not aware of this.
No, this is news to me.
Yeah, this is the problem with the Australian matches, even the Big Bash. Right? We'll have 2 matches, sometimes 3. I watched 3 where the timings they overlap as well, so you cannot watch one game completely. So yeah, I think the scheduling they need to get it right. It's in chaos apparently. I mean, currently.
Yeah, Tejas, I think the good point that you touched upon is Big Bash. I think few people are saying for Afghanistan, it is actually a home ground. The number of Afghanistan players who are playing in a Big Bash is a lot more than the players of some other teams. So Afghanistan really have a chance to upset New Zealand the day before. Tejas, one more question on that lines. On Thursday, we have 2 matches in Sydney. So is it the same pitch that the match is going on? So India, Netherlands, are they going to play on the same pitch or it's a side adjacent pitch?
Generally, if it's the same game, then it's the same pitch. That is the thumb rule that they follow. I think it will be the same pitch. I don't think it will change.
Yeah, because there would be players who would be running on the other strip as well when they're fielding.
Yeah.
I don't think they will be able to use the second pitch on the same day.
Yeah, it should be the same.
Okay. On Friday, we have Afghanistan, Ireland, and England, Australia. Let's focus on England and Australia. Who do you think from England and Australia upsetting? Which is the upset actually? I think England are higher in rankings than Australia.
I would think Australia will win that match. I think it will be time for them to start picking up steam in the tournament. Today was a good root shock for them. I'm sure they'll wake up. Definitely by the time the England-Australia match happens. They've lost to England twice or thrice, I don't know, earlier this month. So I think they'll definitely come back by the time the England-Australia match happens on Friday.
All right. So as Tejas predicted, if Australia get defeated by Sri Lanka earlier in the week, that would be a big upset. And then if Australia defeats England, that would be an upset for England as well.
Yeah.
The last game, New Zealand and Sri Lanka. Which team do you favor? Any of you can go.
For me, Sri Lanka.
Yeah, I mean, if it's at Sydney, where after like a week of matches, Sydney generally tends to spin a little more. So I think Hasaranga and Tikshna will come into the party, and Dhananjay De Silva, if he's there in the squad, he can bowl a fair amount of off spin, like good decent off spin. So yeah, I mean Sri Lanka it's a good pick. I wouldn't count against them.
All right. So, yeah, Arun, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying Group 1 is absolutely amazing. Yeah, I'm salivating looking at the matches and matchups that's coming up in Group 1. Yes.
All right. I mean, with the prediction, we can see Sri Lanka going into the semifinals. Before we wind up, tomorrow, big prediction, who among Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Shami is going to play? Or you see both of them playing?
I see both of them playing. I don't see Harshal playing tomorrow. Or Arshdeep. It's going to be a toss-up between Arshdeep and Harshal, not between Bhuvi and Shami by any stretch of imagination.
Yeah, I think same for me. I think Bhuvi, Shami, for me, Arshdeep plays as well because he brings in that left arm angle. The only problem with that is our batting will be light. I mean, we have Akshar at 7, so it'll be even more lighter. Bhuvi at 8, and that's where even like a remote chance of batting ends. So it's a toss-up. Then again, I mean that I can go with Harshal if we feel that we need deep batting. But yeah, I'd go with Arshdeep for his variety. I think if you pick wickets, you're going to win the matches anyway. So yeah.
If you can hear Suraj out for any predictions, we could. He's not visible though, but he can. Suraj, are you there?
I'm there, but my internet is patchy. Can you guys hear me?
That's okay. We can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Big upset for the upcoming week,
Yeah.
Suraj.
I want to see Netherlands win a couple of matches and maybe Zimbabwe cause a few upsets, or maybe one upset. That's where my prediction will be. And tomorrow, I definitely would want to see Shami in the mix, whichever way, right? Whether Harshal is sitting, Arshdeep is sitting, whoever is sitting, I don't care, but Shami has to be there.
All right, so I think we can go on and on to discuss what can be the team composition for India and Pakistan. India and Pakistan have faced each other quite often in the last 2 years, with both the teams, I think, having even Stevens record. Pakistan have already beaten India in world tournaments and they have the confidence to do it again. Suraj, I don't think we should discuss about India-Pakistan today. We can just see who wins the game.
Yeah, I mean, I did not want to predict it. We all want India to win. I think we'll talk about it if they don't.
Yeah.
All right. So I think this brings us close to our first episode of this World Cup. We'll be back next week with the round of matches that have been over, and we see if our predictions and the upsets that we predicted are on line. Thank you. Good night. Happy Diwali.